Alright, so welcome. A bit of a weird one today. This is actually some post-commentary I'm doing after the game. I didn't do any commentary during the game, I was just kind of chilling. But I thought it was a fun little game to upload. So obviously, the three games I showed you there was my start to the night. Obviously didn't go too well, so I decided. I don't know. It's probably not the fact that I'm using. I mean, maybe it's just my IGN that's just super targetable or something. I don't know. But every time I seem to use my IGN, I die night one, so I'm probably not going to do that anymore. And here we go for Bickford. Alright. And just some night one shenanigans here. You know what's nice about doing post-commentary? I don't miss everything. Or I can actually talk while thinking in game, if that makes sense. So anyways, here we are a sheriff, and restart does a little bit of a bait there, because obviously the server just restarted a couple days ago, so he does a little bit of a bait there, and I figured, hey, why not check him? Probably a very, very bad idea, since Medusa and Veteran are both possible roles within this game. I decided, why not? Why not? So go ahead and we check him. What is he? He is innocent. Alright. You escape this time. And we have 2 deaths here. Now let's go ahead and whisper that to 11. Just get it out there. And the tracker dies to a Crusader. The tracker, for some reason, went on 4, who was the TPLO request from night 1. Which I'm just going back to confirm. Yep, he was the TPLO request from night 1. I'm visibly upset at him, according to my mouse movements there. And then we do get a stoned. Restart comes back with the true and the double smiley face. I don't know, I had the CL there. CL was probably controlled. The Medusa, probably correct. Anti-Ant. Which means he found the Coven Leader. So this tracker tracked Wind too, and saw that Wind visited not CL. So for any of those that are unfamiliar with how Coven works, basically the Coven Leader can control or basically force one player to visit another player. So in this case, it appears as though Wind has controlled not CL, the person in the graveyard there, and controlled that person into the Medusa. Meanwhile, the Medusa uses her ability to kill anyone that visits her. So there's a little bit of synergy between those two roles there. And since Wind was seen visiting not CL, he better have a very, very good claim. But he doesn't. He has a sheriff claim, and he didn't come out right away. And obviously, it's a 3rd sheriff. There's already lots of TIs coming out. So he gets pushed up very, very quickly here. Then he posts his little sheriff rule that he probably made after he was called out. I mean, this is unfortunate. It is pretty unfortunate for you. But I'm still sheriff, which is looking very unlikely in this case. Anti-Ant obviously pushing this very hard because he is the tracker that supposedly found this. But the fun thing about this game mode is that even though Anti-Ant found Wind and essentially got Wind killed, there's a very, very high likelihood that Anti-Ant is good. It's very unlikely for Eve or for a town traitor to out their Coven night 1, and if they do, they're most likely going for some long-term bust play. And the reason for that is because there's not enough info to go off, right? Generally speaking, you want to have a little bit more information before you go with your bust plays. And generally speaking, if 9 was the town trader here, it would be generally more beneficial for them to perhaps out the Coven Leader night 2. In which case, they might be able to see where the flow of the game is going, and if Coven has a lot of killing potential, they could definitely look at maybe trying to win just with Coven killing everyone or Coven getting majority. But if you think that's not going to be the case, you could bust your own Coven. Yeah, but anyway, the whole point of that tangent is essentially to say that the reason why this game mode is so cool is that Anti-Ant isn't necessarily confirmed. And so I was just reading there, and basically I was just looking at the votes for everyone on Wind. I was basically just going through the people on the right-hand side there, and I was kind of picking out, okay, who didn't vote this up? One of the people that didn't vote it up was Edward Bishop, who wasn't talking, and so I go ahead and check them, and I find them as suspicious. Which means they are a member of the cult. I don't know why I'm like going into like explaining, but I don't know. I guess if there's people that aren't familiar with the game Town of Salem, I can afford to do it since I'm doing post commentary, and yeah, might be a little bit different, a little bit more explain there. So 13 was the other sheriff claim here, and night 2 he finds 1 as Eno. Yeah, this is Edward Bishop's first message here. Bro, I'm just chilling. I did guilty him, which is a very, very poor defense. Generally speaking, if you are an evil, you should always make sure to have a fake claim ready. In this case, there's already lots of TIs that came out, so perhaps claiming TI wouldn't be a good idea. He could have got, there's no TKs that have come out so far, so he could have definitely claimed TK, especially with the Coven leader gone. He could have a very good excuse maybe to say, oh, I didn't want to claim night 1 or whatever because I was vigilante, or something along those lines. But Sheriff in this game mode can be relatively powerful, and since I found him as suspicious, I don't think any claim he could have made really would have gotten him off the stand. But you should always at least try. You should always have a claim. Nanto being very aggressive for some reason. Interesting. That's still not a claim though, mate. Anyways, yeah, but essentially, more to that point, the reason why Sheriff is so powerful in this role list is because there are, in like the regular ranked game mode, there are lots of like checks and balances that are in place, and the check to Sheriff is the executioner. So obviously, if someone claims Sheriff and finds someone suspicious, you can throw doubt onto that person. You can say, okay, hey, this person is executioner. You obviously can't do that in this game mode. So for that reason, a sheriff finding someone suspicious is a pretty surefire lynch, unless of course the sheriff finds a suspicious at a point in which getting a mislynch would give the Coven majority. In which case, it could be argued that, for instance, if I found Edward Bishop or if I found someone else suspicious, they could argue, okay, Mulberry or Bickford is just trying to get majority. Lynch them instead. And if they had a decent claim, they might be able to do that, because Sheriff is still a rather weak claim, especially if I had lots of Inos. But, in this case, it's early on in the game, and so Town can afford a 1-for-1, so they end up going and lynching Edward there, who turns out to be the Necromancer. Night 4, I check Sarah Wildes, 15, and find them as Ino. At the same time, Dark Lord of All dies. What are they? The Sheriff claim, I guess. Alright. So here, Anti-Ant finds that Jimin visited Dark Lord for all. So if you didn't know, generally speaking, the Medusa can only kill people that visit them. However, with the Necronomicon, the Medusa gains the ability to target people and stone people as a target. So Anti-Ant finds that 6, or Jimin, the spy claim, visited Dark Lord for all, which is possible within his claim space. However, it's very likely, from my perspective at this point, that Jimin is actually the Medusa, right? So I'm trying to get other people up to claim because we need to find the town traitor, right? Suppose we lynch Jimin here, and suppose Jimin is the Medusa. Wink, wink. Not going to tell you anything. And I got transported with Dark. Alright, there you go. Anyway, so as you can see, I'm typing out here, I'm telling Town to Inno this. We can't hang comments. So from my perspective, I'm I'm fairly convinced that this is the Medusa here. So I'm saying, okay, you know it down. Because if we were to lynch this, and if this were to be Coven, town will be given only 3 days to find the town traitor. If you take into account jailer executes, and if you lynch 3 people on each of those 3 days, you can only kill 4 townies. And as you can see, aside from the Coven, there would be 1, 2, 3, 4, there would be 8 townies. So essentially, if you were to start lynching randomly, you would have a 50% chance, which is obviously undesirable. So we don't want to lynch Coven this day, okay? Because give him the post when you needed him for Edward. That is true. Oh yeah, and that was the other reason we were able to lynch Edward Bishop. I don't know if I mentioned it, but the spy said that Edward Bishop was not visited by the Hex Master, and therefore they would not appear as suspicious. Any player that is hexed will appear as suspicious. The spy confirmed that Edward was not visited, and therefore we were able to lynch Edward. They had a pretty poor claim anyway. So anyway, keep trailing 6. Here's confirmed Coven, and so you just start lynching townies here. So Ruda's fairly weak claim, not very active, so we decide to lynch them in hopes they are the who this is TT game throwing prick. So pretty happy here. Just keep jailing 6, and then we can kind of work out, start lynching the most suspicious townies, do a few scum reads. We might be able to find the final Coven. But what's that? We just actually lynched the final Coven. This was actually Medusa, and turns out that Medusa was transported with someone. One trans Medusa. That's why I found them as innocent. Originally, I thought for some reason 13 was the transporter here. But no, one ended up being the transporter claim. And so one transported them to someone, and they messed up my thing there. But I would have actually found them as suspicious if the transporter hadn't fucked me up. Anyways, so we do end up lynching the last Covenant. And as I said, this is very, very bad for us. There are 7 townies. Okay, there are 7 townies left. And we need to find the one town traitor. And again, we have, assuming jailer X's and assuming like vigilante shoots or something, normally we should only be able to kill 4 people, right? Restart here, ends up dying. How did they die? They died to a Crusader, alright. They died to 8 the Crusader. And this is, so there's actually 2 transporters in this game, interestingly enough, 1 and 11. I don't know who fucked up my Knight 3 invest, but no, it looks like it was 1 based off that will. Alright, there must have been transporters, so I found those in area. I was trans last night, so I said hang, but I meant have. I was confused there, like, why do we hang second trans? Yeah, and it looks like 4 is jailer, just a silent jailer, not doing anything. 8 is the Crusader claim here. 9 is the tracker. 7, I don't think I've seen their claim yet. So I'm not going to mention what it is. Alright, but you can see I saved one last alert for that. So James here is actually a veteran. And as you can see, everyone working out in chat now. As you can see, everyone working out in chat, we're all going to try to visit the veteran. 7 has specifically saved his alert for us all to... So I think you can see where this game might be going based off the title. But, we have an additional lynch here, so we decide, okay, let's get the spy. Since the spy hasn't been particularly helpful, they've been quiet. And I think Anti-Am mentioned this, but they didn't immediately post when we needed them to in order to secure the necromancer. That they eventually did, but they were reluctant to post. And I don't think they posted Night 3 or whatever. So it's fairly possible here that Jimin is the town traitor. Not everyone can keep up a spy will and post it in 0.01. Whatever. Like, it's fine if you eat, but please, like, at least keep your will. It just takes one button to be able to press, bam, and then open up your will. Let me just make sure that I'm actually recording here. Yeah, I'm recording. Great. And no one's going to voluntarily run into a vet. Funny enough, that's exactly what we do. So I'm trying to coordinate here. Okay, 8, 9 to 12, or visit 7. I'm thinking who else? These people that don't visit are suspicious. Still a green spy. Idiots. I think this was, 7, 8 and 1. Both is at 7. Because, I trusted 9 here, so I didn't require them to visit it. And of course, I don't realize 1 is the transporter, obviously, here. So if they were to visit the veteran, they would prevent everyone else from doing it. Everyone visit them, yeah. So we oblige here, and that's where the title of the video comes from, Suicide Pact. So we go ahead and suicide on the veteran. So who do we think could potentially be the town traitor at this point? Well, there is the jailer, but unfortunately the jailer, they haven't done much, but they have been voting, they have been active. They haven't executed any coven. They also haven't executed any townies. So, it's possible that jailer is the town traitor here. But anyways, I go ahead and try to visit the veteran here. And the idea is that if any of the visiting roles didn't visit the jailer, didn't visit the veteran, the jailer will be able to execute them. Turns out here there are only 2 deaths. So Anti-Ant didn't end up dying. You see, I'm a bit confused. Like, maybe they didn't want to die. Okay, that's fair. Possible town traitor there. You see the transport actually dies to the Crusader claim here, and the sheriff. And it turns out the transporter, they didn't have it in their will, but the transporter transported the jailer with Anti-Ant. And since the Crusader was on the jailer, the Crusader prevented Anti-Ant from dying. That's what happened. So Anti-Ant actually wanted to suicide, but the Crusader gave them strong protection. And I knew it. I didn't visit because I knew others wouldn't visit the veteran, and the traitor will live. Says 8. I knew it! Haha! Which isn't the point, since if all the visiting roles died, for example, suppose 8 and 9 both died, then it would just be James left. Well, I mean, it wouldn't. So if 9 was the traitor, so suppose 8 isn't the traitor, suppose 9 is the traitor, then 9 would die and the jailer would be able to execute 8, is the idea there. Since it's fairly confirmed at this point that the veteran is probably not town traitor, it is against the veteran's interest to suicide like that, I believe. So it would have been far better for a town traitor veteran there to go ahead and say, oh, okay, I'm out of alerts. Just lie and say I'm out of alerts. So from my perspective here, I think, okay, James probably isn't the town traitor here. It's possible that the jailer here is the town traitor based on their lack of voting. They seem to be a little bit AFK. Oh no, but you can see them voting against James, and they cancel their vote. And Anti-Ant is getting a little bit upset here. He wanted himself to be voted up. Basically, what he wanted is himself to be lynched, and he wanted the jailer to execute 8. That's what he was going for there. And yes, so when see Anti-Boy lives one more day, and I'm saying, shut up, we don't care. Again, I am not necessarily suspicious of 9, but with the lack of information to go off here, I think that it's 50-50 between 8 and 9 here. And you can see I say that in chat. So the dead coven seem to be suggesting that it is Anti-Ant. So, did Anti-Ant make an incredible bus play and lynch the coven leader? And I think they got someone else lynched. They got, no, I don't know. They were just acting townie, so maybe they were, incredibly good play here. That's busting. That is completely possible. And I think I whispered them earlier, saying, if you're TT, you're doing a very good job. But as you can see, jailer leaves. So jailer's AFK or something. They didn't execute. You see, I was a little bit upset about that. With correct play, with everyone suiciding, this should have been a win. Still a bit iffy. It is still very hard to kind of figure out who the town traitor is. There's not too much to go off. As you can see, there's so pushing it. But because 4 disconnected, essentially there's only 3 players alive right now, so you just need 2 votes to lynch someone. So you can see there's some fighting going on here. Anti-Ant is saying the Crusader protected him. Who this is saying, no, I didn't protect you. What ended up happening is the Transporter trans the Jailer with Anti-Ant, so the Crusader inadvertently protected Anti-Ant. I never protected you. Well, the Transporter had other plans. Yeah. Again, unfortunately, the last three are alive here, 7, 8, 9. None of them are technically confirmed. 9 is probably the most towny, but just because you're towny doesn't mean you're confirmed. And again, I'd say probably the best lynch here is 8. 8 seems the most suspicious. It could have also been the Jailer in some other reality. Who dis drops the F in chat, and he does end up being the town traitor. You see, I'm trying to scroll through to find something. I can't remember what I was trying to find. But yeah, so which is actually funny because if Who This decided not to protect the Jailer, he wouldn't have protected Anti-Ant, and he would have won the game due to gaining majority with this Jailer leaving. But yeah, the Crusader ends up. And this is the crazy thing, it's very hard to find the town traitor, especially when people don't talk a lot. 7 also didn't talk a lot, so it's very kind of difficult there. Oh, and I ended up cutting out the recording before I could finish my post-commentary here. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that little game. I hope you enjoyed the little post-commentary here. Hopefully I don't know, explain something about the game for anyone that might not be familiar with TOS. I'll see you guys later.